Hello FS100 class. Here is a brief video summarizing the lecture on Chapter 2, which is about thinking critically and setting goals. We actually skipped the first few slides in the slideshow because we will return to critical thinking and metacognition when we address Chapter 4 about learning preferences. What we're going to focus on in this chapter is the process of setting goals. We do need to think critically about ourselves when we're writing our goals. That just means we need to think about our own skills and abilities. We also need to gather information about goals we are thinking of setting. There are 5 steps to goal setting. The first step is to gather information about ourselves and our potential goal plans. In other words, we will do a little bit of research first. Then we write our goal statement using the SMART acronym, which has nothing to do with intelligence. It's simply an acronym containing the 5 criteria for effective goals. After we write our goal statement, we make an action plan of the steps we're going to take to achieve our goal. Before we start the action plan, however, we need to look at barriers and solutions. We don't want to be surprised negatively later as we're working on the goal when a barrier pops up. So we think about those in advance. And then the last step is to actually act on the goal and evaluate our outcomes as we're working on the goal. We can evaluate our progress or lack of progress and possibly make adjustments as we're working on our action plan. When you are gathering information in step 1, you need to think about your own strengths and weaknesses, challenges you might experience, and the ACEs results that you received from doing your ACEs assessment in our class. Having all of that information about yourself will allow your goals to be realistic and meaningful. When you're writing the goal statement, you're going to use the SMART acronym to ensure that you have all 5 of these criteria in your goal statement. We need to be specific, which means knowing exactly what we're trying to achieve. Our goal needs to be measurable. That allows us to know if we've reached the goal or if we're making progress. The goal needs to be achievable, meaning we need to have the skills and abilities necessary so the goal is within our reach. Or maybe we will learn the skills and abilities as we're working on the goal. Our goals need to be relevant to us personally. In other words, the goal needs to relate to our lives. We will be motivated to achieve our goals if they mean something to us personally. And finally, the T means our goals are time limited. We have a time frame in which we want to reach the goal, and that time frame allows us to assess whether we have accomplished the goal or if we're getting close. After we write the goal using the SMART acronym, then we make an action plan. These are the mini goals or steps I need to take to achieve my goal. And we would also write down these actions just like we wrote the goal statement. We will also have mini deadlines for each of these steps. As I said, we need to think about our barriers and solutions in advance before we even start working on the goal. We don't want to be surprised later. So let's think about some potential barriers that might pop up as we are making progress towards our goals. Then when we've thought about potential barriers, we need to brainstorm how we might overcome those barriers or work around those barriers. And again, we do this in advance before we even start. Finally, we're ready to act on our goal. We work on that action plan and those mini steps. And as we do so, we regularly evaluate our progress, which means making notes of how we're doing and celebrating our successes in those action steps so that we can stay positive and stay motivated. In our textbook, there is a tool called the Personal Success Plan that will guide you through the 5 steps of goal setting in each topic of our book. So I would encourage you to use that Personal Success Plan as you go through the chapters. And you'll see the Personal Success Plan is laid out according to this 5-step model. Gather information, set a SMART goal, make an action plan, list barriers and solutions, act and evaluate your outcomes. The Personal Success Plan also allows us to connect to potential careers. And that is a summary of our lecture on Chapter 2.